Lena and her daughter Emma sat at a corner table in one of the most popular pizza and hamburger restaurants in town. Everyone in the neighborhood talked about this place, how modern it looked, with its white and black walls, shiny lights, and the warm, tempting smell of melted cheese drifting through the air. Waitresses moved quickly from table to table, balancing trays loaded with sizzling pizzas, tall milkshakes, and plates stacked with fries. Emma sat across from her mother, her big brown eyes fixed on the counter where the waitresses disappeared through a swinging wooden door marked kitchen. "Mommy, I'm hungry," she said softly, fidgeting in her seat. "I know, sweetheart," Lena replied, smiling. "They'll bring your food soon. You're going to love it." She had ordered Emma's favorite, pepperoni pizza, and for herself, a grilled hamburger with fries. Lena had been looking forward to this all week. Cooking at home always felt like too much work for her. Why spending hours in kitchen when she could relax and let someone else do the job? Not long after, a cheerful waitress appeared at the table. "Here is your food, ma'am. Enjoy." The pizza looked perfect. Gold crust, bubbling cheese, the scent of oregano filling the air. Lena smiled and took a deep breath. She took her first bite of her burger and closed her eyes for a second. This is so good," she whispered. But when she opened her eyes, Emma's smile was gone. The little girl was pressing her tummy and frowning. "What is it, sweetheart?" Lena asked gently. "Mommy, I need to use the toilet," Emma said in a small voice. Lena froze, her burger halfway in her mouth. "Now?" "But we just started eating." Emma nodded, looking down. Lena sighed, trying not to sound irritated. She could feel a few people glancing at them, and her cheeks warmed. "All right, come on then," she said, forcing a small smile. It wasn't the first time Emma needed the restroom right after the food arrived. It always happened, and it always tested Lena's patience. They walked to the back hallway marked restroom. Lena's heels clicked on the tiled floor as they went. Emma hurried into one of the stalls while Lena leaned against the wall and scrolled through her phone to pass the time. That's when she noticed it. A grey metal door a few steps away. It didn't match the clean white walls. In bold red letters, it said, "No entry." A strange smell drifted from underneath it, sour and heavy. Nothing like pizza or grilled beef. Lena frowned and looked around. The hallway was empty. Her curiosity whispered to her, "Just a quick look. No one will know." She hesitated only a moment, then turned the handle. The door cracked open with a low groan, and a wave of foul smell hit her. It was thick and rotten, a mix of spoiled food and something she couldn't name. She gagged and covered her mouth. She switched on her phone flashlights, her hand trembling slightly. The beam revealed piles of dirty aprons, napkin, an overflowing bucket filled with dark, greasy water. The floor was sticky, the air damp. Suddenly, 2 rats shot across her feet and disappeared into the shadows. Lena jumped, her heart pounding. "Oh my God!" she whispered. Every instant screamed at her to close the door and leave, but curiosity pulled her deeper. At the far end of the filter room was a small wooden door with a faded sign, "Kitchen staffs only." From behind it came the faint clatter of pots and the low hum of voices. She crept closer and peeked through a small crack. Her stomach turned. The kitchen was nothing like clean open kitchen shown near the counter. This one was hidden, dirty and chaotic. The sink was overflowing with unwashed dishes. The counter was slick with oil. The floor glistened with old sauce and bits of food. Ants smashed across the tiles. A cook stood over a huge pot of sauce, stirring slowly. Her apron was stiff with layers of stains, and sweat ran down her temples. Behind her, another worker dragged a bin filled with scraps of meat and bones towards the sink. The smell was unbearable. Lena's pulse raced. Is this where my food came from? In one corner, a woman sat icing a cake, humming softly. Every now and then, she dipped a finger into the frosting, licked it and smiled. Lena's stomach churned. The perfect dining room, the friendly waitress, and the beautiful plates, it was all a lie. A sudden sound made her freeze. Footsteps approaching. A man's voice came from the kitchen. The wooden door rattled slightly from the other side. Panic shot through her. She quickly backed away, slipping into the dark, no entry room, and shut the metal door slightly. Her heart hammered in her ears. After a few seconds, the noise faded. She exhaled shakily and hurried back towards the restroom hallway, just as Emma came skipping out, smiling. "Mommy, I'm done," the little girl said cheerfully. Lena forced a smile and took her hand tightly. "Good, let's go back." When they returned to their table, the pizza and burger still looked perfect, still smelling amazing, but the scent now made Lena's stomach twist. "Is everything alright, ma'am?" the waitress asked politely. "Yes," Lena said quickly. "Just bring the bill, please." Emma reached for her pizza. "Can I finish my slice, mommy?" "No, baby," Lena said, her tone sharper than she meant. "We are going home." She paid quickly, grabbed Emma's hand, and walked out of the restaurant. The cool evening air hit her face like a blessing. She took deep breaths, trying to shake off the heavy smell that clung to her memory. As she glanced back, the restaurant sign glowed brightly in the dark, cheerful, inviting, and false. People inside laughed and ate, completely unaware. But Lena knew the truth now. She would never forget it. Inside the car, Lena gripped the steering wheel tightly. Her mind kept replaying the disgusting images she had seen in the restaurant. The dirty floors, the spoiled meat, the flies. Her chest felt heavy, and a lump formed in her throat. Her husband's voice echoed in her head. "You can't trust every restaurant, Lena. You never know what happens behind closed doors." He has said it so many times, and each time she had laughed it off. "Please, I am not built for kitchen stress," she would reply. "I can't be sweating and smelling like onions every evening." But now, she wasn't laughing. She glanced at Emma through the rear view mirror. The little girl's head was falling to one side, her lips slightly parted in sleep. Her small hands still clutched her toy bear. A wave of guilt washed over Lena. Emma was always the one who suffered. Her stomach hurt so often. She had lost count of the sleepless nights spent comforting her. Doctors called it food sensitivity, but deep down, Lena had always known it might be something else. Something she didn't want to face. Her thought drifted back in her childhood. Lena had grown up in a family of 3 children. She was the youngest and the most spoiled. Her older siblings, Anna and Kyle, did everything around the house. Anna was frying eggs at 8. Kyle could make porridge by 10. Their mother would always defend Lena. "Leave her alone," she said lovingly. "She's my baby. She will learn when she grows up." But Lena never did. While Anna and Kyle scrubbed pots, Lena would sit in front of the TV, legs swinging, watching cartoons. When dinner was served, she eat and complain. "It's too salty. The rice is too soft. The stew doesn't taste nice." Anna would glare at her. "One day you will live on your own, Lena. You will see who will cook for you." Lena would laugh. "I will marry someone rich. I won't need to cook." Their mother would smile, shaking her head. "She is my princess," she said fondly. And so it stayed that way. When Lena went off to university, her mother packed everything she would need. Bag of rice, beans, oil, spices. But the first time Lena tried to cook, it was a disaster. The rice burned, the stew turned bitter, and the pot smoked until her roommates rushed in coughing. The next day, she tried noodles. They came out soggy and pale, like wet pepper. She couldn't even swallow a bite. Frustrated, she threw the food away and made herself a silent promise: "I will never cook again." From that day, Lena lived on a restaurant food. She sold the groceries her mother had given her and used the money to buy meals from nearby canteens. At first, it was exciting. Fried rice, soups, grilled meat, everything she wanted, ready to eat. But it didn't last. Some food made her sick. Some days, it tasted off. But she didn't stop. Cooking to her felt like failure. When she met Mark, everything changed. Or so she thought. Mark was gentle, patient, and successful. The kind of man every woman dreamed of. But there was one thing he didn't know about her. Lena didn't cook. Not because she couldn't find the time, but because she refused to try. Whenever Mark mentioned wanting her home-cooked food, she found excuses. "I am too tired, baby. My stomach hurts. Let's just order takeout." Mark never argued. He adored her. "Don't worry, my queen," he said with a smile. "You don't need to stretch yourself." Their love deepened. But the habit stayed. One evening, Mark realized he had never once tasted a meal she made. He waited until the weekend to bring it up. They were on the couch, watching a movie. "Lena," he said softly, "can I ask you something?" "What is it?" she asked, eyes still on the screen. "We have been together for years. "Oh, you have never cooked for me, not once." Lena frowned. "And that's the problem." He hesitated. "Not a problem exactly, but it would be nice to have home-cooked food. Sometimes it's healthier." And she cuts him off. "Mark, I don't like cooking. I've tried it before. It frustrates me. That's why restaurants exist." Mark nodded slowly. He wasn't angry, just disappointed. "I understand. But eating out all the time isn't good for us, especially when we have kids someday." Lena crossed her arms. "Then you can cook if you like. I am fine with takeouts." Mark sighed. Deciding not to push it, that night, as Lena slept peacefully beside him, he whispered to himself, "I love her. If this is the price of peace, I'll pay it." Years later, they got married and had Emma. From her first birthday, takeout food became their daily routine. Pizzas, rice, burgers, soups, all from restaurants. At first, it was fine. But as Emma grew, her stomach started reacting badly. After every meal, she would cry and run to the toilet. "Why can't you just eat properly for once?" Lena would scold. "Mommy, my tummy hurts," Emma would cry. Ma would step in gently. "Lena, stop shouting. Maybe it's the food." "The food?" She snapped. "It's from a good restaurant. Why not try cooking for her?" He suggests quietly. Maybe her stomach could get better. Lena turned away. "I don't have time for that nonsense." But his words stayed buried somewhere deep inside her. Now, driving home from the restaurant, they echoed louder than ever. The air inside the car felt thick. Emma hummed softly in the backseat, swinging her legs and clenching her toy. The innocence in her face made Lena's chest tighten painfully. Her mind whispered, "You have failed her. You fed her poison. You saw how filthy it was, and you gave it to your child." The voice wouldn't stop. It grew louder with every passing minute. At a quiet corner of the road, Lena pulled over. Her hands shook as she reached into her bag and took out a small notebook she used for random notes. She stared at the blank pages for a long moment. Then she whispered, "This ends today." Her pen moved shakingly as she wrote a grocery list: eggs, tomatoes, onions, oil, rice, chicken, spices. When she was done, she tore out the page, folded it, and pressed it to her chest. For the first time in years, Lena didn't feel helpless. She felt afraid, but also alive. Something inside her had shifted. She started the car, looked at her sleeping daughter in the mirror, and whispered, "I'll fix this, baby, I promise." And as the car rolled forward, the city's light flashed over her face, not just bright, but new. A woman finally ready to change. When Lena got home, Mark was in the living room watching a football match. Little Emma ran inside, yawning and dragging her small pink blanket. "Please look after her for me," Lena said quickly, picking up her purse. "I'll be back soon." Mark looked up confused. "Where are you going?" "Just somewhere," she said softly. "I'll be back." Before he could say another word, she rushed out of the house. The market was crowded and loud. People shouting prices, children laughing, meat sizzling on hot pans. But Lena didn't hear any of it clearly. Her mind was still replaying what she saw at the restaurant, the dirty kitchen, the rotten ingredients, the flies, the smell. She pushed those thoughts aside and moved from store to store with purpose. For the first time ever, she bought real groceries: fresh tomatoes, red peppers, rice, beans, chicken, fish, seasoning, even measuring cups. By the time she finished, her car was filled with bags. When she got home, Mark met her at the door, confused. "What is all this?" he asked. Lena took a deep breath and finally said the words that felt heavy in her chest. "They are for the house. I'm going to start cooking from today." Mark stared at her for a long moment. "You? Cooking?" She nodded. Something in her eyes told him this wasn't a joke. Something had changed inside her. The next morning, Lena woke up early for the first time in her life. She tied an apron around her waist and faced the stove like someone facing a new world. Her first attempt, beans porridge, burned at the bottom. It tasted bitter. She tried jollof rice next. It was too salty. Mark tasted it and smiled gently. "At least it's hot," he joked softly. Lena laughed a little. Even though she felt frustrated, Mark wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "It's a start," he said. "Every good cook begins with mistakes." From that day, Lena refused to give up. She watched cooking videos late at night. She practiced every morning. She wrote notes in a small notebook she kept in her pocket. Her food was sometimes too oily, sometimes tasteless, sometimes burnt. But every day she improved. Mark supported her fully. When he wasn't working, he stood next to her, chopping onions, washing plates, and cheering her on. Maybe I will learn too, he teased once. I'll be the king of jollof rice. Lena laughed, truly laughed. It felt like her heart was opening again. Weeks passed. Then one evening, something happened that changed everything. Lena served Emma a plate of rice and stew. Emma ate it quietly. Then she smiled. "Mommy, my tummy doesn't hurt today," she said. Lena froze. Her heart leaped. "Are you sure, baby?" Emma nodded. "This food is yummy." Lena's eyes filled with tears. Mark smiled at her, proud and full of love. From that night, dinner time became special. The house smelled of food, laughter, and peace. Months later, Lena finally perfected her smoky jollof rice. Even Mark admitted it was the best he had tasted. They created a new family tradition. Every Sunday, the whole house would smell of Lena's cooking. When Emma turned 11, Lena felt it was time. "Come, my love," she said one Saturday morning. She tied a tiny apron around Emma's waist. "You are old enough to start learning." Emma's eyes lit up. "Really, Mommy?" "Yes. Today we are making rice." They cooked together, laughing, making small mistakes, trying again. Emma chopped vegetables slowly, while Lena guided her hands. Mark stood by the kitchen door, smiling proudly at his two favorite girls. "Don't forget to stir gently," Lena said softly. "Cooking is like love. It needs patience." Emma giggled. "Like how Daddy waits for your food." Lena laughed. "Exactly." That day, the rice came out perfect, warm, soft, and filled with love. And Lena, who once thought cooking was punishment, now saw it as a gift, as art, as healing, as love made real. Her kitchen became her story, a story of growth, change, and second chances. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. More heart-touching stories are coming your way. Thank you.